Hello! Hi guys! It's been a while since I made a video for my channel. A long time. Well, that's happened. I've graduated. The world has gone into chaos. This whole pandemic thing has happened. So since I'm home and I have nothing to really do, I figured I would try to pass the time by making content, figuring that it could help me and you guys. It would give you guys something to watch and give me something to do. And I found this really old book at my church book sale. It's called Housekeeping in Old Virginia. Look how pretty that is. Look how there's a little peacock. It's hard to see, but there's a peacock right there. And there's a beautiful picture of like an old-fashioned kitchen with people cooking. And I thought, wouldn't it be interesting to look into this book and read some of the passages and to see what kind of recipes, medicines, and suggestions and tips that they have for housekeeping, like for people that take care of the house. Let's see. So this was published in 1879 in Louisville, Kentucky by John P. Morton and Company. There you go, 1879. I think I'm going to start off with a food recipe because I'm interested to see what they suggest is a good meal to serve. Let's see. How about for soup? Let's see what kind of soup they have. Page 68. Let's see. Here we go. Okay. Economical oyster soup. 1 quart oysters, 2 quarts water. Boil with salt and pepper. Cut up 1 tablespoon butter with flour and put in while boiling. Beat the yolks of 4 eggs light. Mix them with 1/2 pint milk. When the oysters are well cooked, pour on the milk and eggs, stirring all the time. Let it boil up and take off quickly, and pour into the tureen over toasted bread cut into dice. If preferred rich, leave out some of the water. And this lovely recipe was provided to this company that made this book by Mrs. L.T. Gov. Let's just say Mrs. L.T. Here we go. I'm interested into what they suggest sick people eat because they have a whole section on feeding the sick. Because I know I like soup myself when I'm sick. I like chicken noodle soup, and I love pretty much just chicken noodle soup. Yeah, I'm not really a bread person when I'm sick because bread tends to, like, the texture of it doesn't seem to do it for me. Ooh, so here's a passage. They have a whole section for the sick room, diet and remedies for the sick. Here we go. First of all, let me say that after a reliable physician has been called in, his decisions should be strictly followed, and his instructions should be the law in the sick room. Have everything in readiness for his admission immediately after his arrival. At his time, as his time is valuable and it occasions him both annoyance and loss of time to be kept waiting outside of the sick room after reaching the house of the patient. Pure air is of vital importance in the sick room. Many persons exclude fresh air for fear of dampness, but even damp air is better than impure. Even in cold weather, there should be a free circulation of air. If there are no ventilators, let the air circulate from the top of the windows rather then admit it from the door. Admitted by opening the door, which is apt to produce a draft. Meantime, keep up a good fire if practical. Let it be a wood fire, but if this is not attainable, have an open grate with a coal fire. The sight of a bright blaze is calculated to cheer the patient, while the sight of a dark, closed stove is depressing. By no means allow a sick person to be in a room warmed by a flue or register. The old idea of darkening the sick room is exploded. It should be darkened only when the patient wishes to sleep. If the eyes are weak, admit the sunshine from a quarter where it will not fall upon them. The modern science of physics has come to recognize sunshine as one of the most powerful of remedial agencies. And cases are not rare in which invalids have been restored to health by using sun baths and otherwise freely enjoying the sunshine. Ooh, fun fact. Speaking of sunshine, last summer I went with my friends to an old sanatorium in Connecticut. In Connecticut. And my friends thought a sanatorium was for people who were having issues with either mental health or things along that nature. But no, sanatoriums were places for people with consumption or tuberculosis. And they also believed that sunshine was the cure for TB. So in sanatoriums, patients would spend up to like almost 8 hours a day in the sunshine outside. Even in cold weather, in all weather pretty much, they would bring the patients out because that's all they could do for them was to take them out into the fresh air. So it makes sense that this book's talking about making sure sunshine shines in the room and really putting forth how powerful sunshine can be. Because at the same time, people were being put, into sanatoriums and being rolled out in the sunshine for consumption. So back to this book. Okay. So let's see. Maybe we can look at some of the medicines that they suggest. And I know they talked about weak eyes. And they also talk about weak lungs in here. So I'm curious as to... here we go. So here's some recipes they suggest for the sick. Breakfast for an invalid. Bread 12 hours old, an egg and black tea, provided by Mrs. A. Breakfast, food for a sick infant. Gelatin 2 inches square, milk half a pint, water half a pint, cream 1/2 to 1 gill, arrowroot a teaspoonful. Sweet and to taste by Mrs. J.D. Well, you can see that they have definitely different systems of measuring food and measuring things than we do now. They use a more apothecary style measurement, the gill, is there another one in here? They still use tablespoon and teaspoon. Milk punch, they also suggest for the sick. So let's remember, they used gill. Let's see what other fun little measurements we can find. So gill. Milk punch. Pour 2 tablespoons good brandy into 6 tablespoons milk. Add 2 teaspoonfuls ground loaf sugar and a little grated nutmeg. An adult may take a tablespoonful of this every 2 or 3 hours, but children must take less. From Mrs. R, Mrs. C, Mrs. M, and Mrs. W. Milk toast seems interesting. Slice the bread thin, toast a light brown, butter each side, and sprinkle with a little salt. Put in a covered dish and pour over it boiling milk. From Mrs. S and Mrs. T. Okay. Doesn't exactly sound appetizing. And I think I wouldn't be able to eat that if I was sick. we go. Though this I do eat when I'm sick. It says right here, grapes are valuable in fever. That is true. Well, I don't know how much of that is true, like if it cures fever, but I do know that when I'm sick, grapes don't bother me. They don't bother my nausea. They don't bother my stomach. They just kind of go down and they're perfect. Especially frozen grapes. Frozen grapes work wonders when I'm nauseous and need to get food into my system. Let's see. And now, are you ready? Are you ready for the medicine portion of this book? And the medicine of this portion of this book should be wild, considering that way back when, cocaine, cough drops used to be used for toothaches, including in children. So that's the kind of wonderful level of medicine we're going to be dealing with now. Let's see. Here we go. What should we choose? Cure for cramp. A lot of women experience cramps. That is true. Sorry, I'm using my phone as a camera, and it's a little fussy when it comes to the lighting. And the lighting outside doesn't help coming from the window, because when the sun goes behind a cloud or shines directly on the window like it is now, my phone changes changes the brightening of the video. Changes the, why can't I think of the word? Damn. Changes the lighting of it. Okay, back to the book. Cure for cramp. Wet a cloth and spirits turpentine and lay it over the place where the pain is felt. If the pain moves, move the cloth. Take 5 drops spirits turpentine at a time and white sugar till relieved. So, turpentine, putting it both on your skin and taking it internally. Not exactly the best suggestion. Not exactly the best, I would say. Yeah, I would say that's not. No. So let's see. So they use drops. They use gills. Let's see what other measurements they used. Here. Eye water for weak eyes. Okay. 1 teaspoonful laudanum. 2 teaspoonfuls Madeira wine. And 12 teaspoonfuls rose water. From Mrs. E and Mrs. I. And the cramp cure was from Mrs. R. I can tell you that laudanum is a form of opium, and putting opium and wine on your eyes, I don't know how much that would help you with weak eyes, especially because this book doesn't necessarily describe what weak eyes are or what they would consider weak eyes. Toothache drops. Here we go. Let's see what they suggest for toothaches, considering we know they used to prescribe cocaine drops. Morphia, 6 grains. So we got grains as a measurement now. 1/2 ounce each of tincture aconite root, chloroform, laudanum, creosote, oil, cloves, and cajeput. Add as much gum camphor as the chloroform will dissolve. Saturate with the above mixture a piece of wool and put it in the hollow tooth, being certain that the cavity is cleaned out. From doctor. Now this is doctor now, not just a Mrs. A doctor. Dr. E, Dr. A, and Dr. C. Well, morphia is morphine. Laudanum is opium. And chloroform is chloroform. So I could definitely say that would cure a toothache. That's combining opium, morphine, and chloroform. That's a wild mix. Definitely not suggest this in today's world. Ooh, they have a preventative for scarlet fever. Now, the preventatives that we have today are vaccinations. We prevent different diseases and stuff from, because we get vaccinated from them by using a portion. There's multiple ways of making a vaccine, but some vaccines are made using either like the dead shell of the virus or whatever it is, and introducing that to your body, so that way your body can learn what it looks like, so it can fight it off if it does come into contact with it. And that's one way, as just for an example. And now this is their way to fight scarlet fever. Extract of belladonna, it says pure, 3 grains. Cinnamon water, 1 dram. All right, so we have dram as a unit of measurement again. Distilled water, 7 drams. Mix, label poison, and give the child for a dose as many drops as the years of his age. By Dr. E, Dr. A, and Dr. C. Again. So, belladonna. Belladonna is a sedative in many ways and wouldn't protect you from scarlet fever. I give it to them. I give a hand to them for having the people that make it label it poison so that the children won't touch it. That's good on them for that. But I wouldn't give it to children. Similarly, there's also a medicine. There's belladonna, and then there's also a melatonin called barbital, or phenobarbital. Barbital was used as kind of like an anti-anxiety drop for children and babies, for fussy babies, for anxiety-ridden children, and anxiety-ridden women. And it's not used anymore in humans for the most part. It's mostly used in animals as a sedative for surgery, and it's used as a euthanasia additive for animals when they have to be put down, because it is very dangerous to use, and many people have accidentally, back when it was prescribed for anxiety, many people killed their children by accident by giving too much of it, because it's easy to overdose. But, so, this book is definitely an old book, that is for sure. There's a cure for prickly heat. Sulfate of copper, so copper sulfate, grains 10, pure water, mix solution, and apply with a camel brush. By Dr. E, Dr. A, and Dr. C. Again, okay, so that seems interesting. I definitely have to look that one up. Copper sulfate seems familiar to me from my chemistry classes, but I can't say exactly why. Yeah, so that's interesting. Tell me in the comments, if anyone wants to look it up for me, and tell me if that makes sense to use for prickly heat. It just might. Mashed finger. They have a remedy for a mashed finger. Bind up with old linen and keep constantly wet with cold water. If there is much pain, add laudanum or a tincture of arnica. If discoloration and swelling remain after the pain subsides, use stimulating liniment to encourage a flow of blood and the washing away of the injured blood. And it doesn't say who it's from. Okay, so I'm not a doctor, but keeping a wound wet, consistently wet, doesn't seem like a good idea for infection and for infection and the breakdown of skin. Because when skin gets wet and stays wet, it slowly breaks down over time. It doesn't seem like a good idea. Now that sounds like a good one to leave off on. If you guys are interested in more out of this book, there's also a whole section on like different foods, desserts, and tips for cleaning the house. Like tips for polish and how to clean things out of wood and things out of carpets and all of that good stuff. So I figured that might be a good section that might actually have some good things in it, versus the medicinal section that probably has a lot of outdated medicinal claims and suggestions. So, thank you. Sorry about the lighting, and I don't know how well this microphone situation is going to work at the moment. I'll put this up, and I don't know if I'll edit it. I might be editing it. I might be talking to the void right now because I might edit this part out, but we'll see. I want to upload some videos of like me drawing and things like that, but it's hard because I don't know how to get my camera, like my phone, to stay properly placed so it can view what I'm doing on the table. My mom is out of the shower now, so the house might start becoming noisy. It was nice to do this. I don't know if you guys enjoyed it. I hope you did. Like, comment, subscribe, please. And I might do a vlog outside, who knows, because everyone needs a little sun, and it might be nice for those of us that can't go outside due to pollen, or, you know, because they're immunosuppressed, what have you. I think it would be nice to make a video for them so that way they can see outside and kind of experience it for themselves during this awful time. Thank you everyone for watching. Thank you. Love you guys. Bye. Poke.